This is FBG.Live. From touchdowns and concerts to weddings and Christmas parades. Live video production right here in Fredericksburg, Texas. Live, local, here for you. FBG.Live, capturing your moment for generations to enjoy.
All right, good morning, everyone. Before we start the meeting, we're going to have an invocation from Mr. Burdick. Pastor?
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you today with grateful hearts as we gather for this meeting of the Gillespie County Commissioners Court. We thank you for your blessings, Lord, for the rain in this county, for your blessings of freedom and opportunity to serve the people of this great county and the great state of Texas. We ask you, Lord, to grant us wisdom and discernment as we conduct the business before us. We ask you to guide our discussions so that they may be marked by respect, honesty, and genuine desire to do what is right for all of our citizens. Help us to set aside personal agendas and focus on the common good, strengthening our community, stewarding our resources responsibly, and upholding the values of liberty and justice that define our state and nation. We ask you, Lord, for your blessing on our first responders, our public servants, and all who work to keep our county safe and prosperous. May your hand of protection be upon our families, our farms, ranches, businesses, and schools. And we humbly ask, Lord, for unity in our purpose and clarity in decisions, and that this meeting may honor you and benefit those that we serve. In the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen. We're going to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Okay, it's 9:06 a.m. on June the 9th, 2026. We're going to call the meeting to order. This is a regular meeting of the Gillespie County Commissioners Court. Commissioner Cromer is not present today. All other members of the Commissioners Court are present. Okay, before we start with the regular agenda items, we have an item of community interest that has come up since we posted the agenda. It relates to the possibility of the New World, of the screwworm being in or near Gillespie County. And so we're going to have a briefing, I guess, from Ashley Morris, and then maybe Brad Rader will add in if he needs to. Good morning, Ashley.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. My name is Ashley Morris, and I'm the Fredericksburg, Gillespie County Emergency Manager. Basically, I'm here for public awareness and education just on what's going on with New World screwworm in Texas, but as well as possibly in Gillespie County. So currently...
Ashley, excuse me, but is that microphone on this side? It doesn't look like it's lit up.
Doesn't sound like it's on.
No, and it doesn't sound, I apologize for interrupting.
Test. Okay,
There we go.
that sounds a lot
Thank
better.
you. I'm sorry
Okay.
to interrupt.
No,
All right.
no
Sorry,
problem.
Ashley, before you get fired up again, also, I'm going to note that because this is an item of community interest, you can give the report because it's like an imminent threat that has come up since we posted the agenda, but we cannot deliberate or take any action on it as a commissioner's court. Okay, so it's primarily information session. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Okay, so Ashley Morris, Gillespie County, Fredericksburg Emergency Management. I'm here to just provide situational awareness to the community about New World screwworm and possible impacts to Gillespie County. So as of now, there are 4 total Texas cases and 1 New Mexico case, which actually is probably linked to a dog that came from Mexico. On the 3rd of June, the state was notified of the first case of screwworm in the Zavala County area. On the 5th of June, they had an additional case in that county, and then another case over the weekend in the LaSalle County area was also identified. Yesterday around noon, the USDA reported a confirmed goat case here in Gillespie County. State agencies are currently gathering more information on that as we speak. The Animal Health Commission did acknowledge this case formally on social media last evening, and we have been coordinating and sharing information between county and city agencies. The response for screwworm is a state-led and federally led response. So the agencies in charge of this response would be the USDA at the federal level, the Texas Animal Health Commission at the state level, as well as AgriLife and the Texas Parks and Wildlife. They're all working together to respond to screwworm around the state. Our county, in the event that we were to respond, would provide support through operations with resources and information to residents on how to identify screwworm and how to take the measures that need to be taken. For us, we are actually working with the state currently to determine what next steps would be made after the USDA has confirmed that case. There are possible considerations of quarantines that would be discussed, as well as other information that we can discuss at another time. In terms of tactics, the state's really working to just identify cases and treat identified cases. They're also working to restrict animal movements to limit the spread of screwworm from county to county, which is where the quarantine would play a role in that. They're also conducting surveillance operations through traps and checks. So putting out traps, seeing if there's any positive screwworm or flies in the area and things like that. And they're also establishing identification labs in Uvalde, College Station, and other places at that. In terms of emergency management, the State Emergency Operations Center is at a level 2 to support the agencies for coordination, so they are activated. Our county is on standby in terms of Emergency Operations Center. In the event that we start having emergency operations here, we will consider moving up to a level 3 and really engaging our county, local, and state agencies in our EOC to ensure that we're sharing information and we're coordinating response appropriately. For this discussion, I just really wanted to remind our folks, our residents, and our community that we really want y'all to be checking your animals daily. Check them for small and suspicious wounds, check body openings for any larvae as well, and make sure that you report everything that could be concerned or suspicious to the TAHC 24/7 line at 1-800-550-8242. We're also asking landowners and ranchers to keep an eye on wildlife. That includes exotic animals and deer. And if you see anything suspicious on them, report that to the Texas Parks and Wildlife at 512-389-4505. Pets, so if you have outdoor pets, they are also technically at risk. And so we just encourage residents to keep an eye on your animals once a day. If you think that you might have a pet that might have screwworm, call a veterinarian. They'll be able to identify it and do the proper testing as well. The state does want to remind everyone that this is not a food safety concern. So when we go through meat processes, they do the inspections. There is no threat to, improper or unhealthy meat. So the meat is safe, and we want to make sure residents are aware of that. Finally, we are working on sharing this public information because similar to other infectious diseases and things, detection and reporting is really critical in being able to stop the spread and being able to really get control of screwworm. So we're sharing information in terms of what to do, where to go, who to call, and we're partnering with the state, Texas Animal Health Commission, and USDA to do that. For our releases, you can follow the emergency management social media accounts. You can also take a look for any official press releases from the government, and you can also sign up for our emergency alert system to receive updates. Last night, we established a special text email distribution list. So you can text the word screwworm to 38276 to receive regular updates. We want folks to text this in and be added to this extra list because we intend to be sending daily updates on that list. We do not want to send daily updates to our entire emergency list because some folks might just not want those updates. So that would be why you would opt into that. And then finally, emergency management. We're taking daily briefings with the state. We're going to be coordinating with the Animal Health Commission after court today to work with them on operations. We're also planning, like I said, emergency operations activations, resource needs, and how we can help the state with their mission to eliminate screwworm, especially here. And we're also going to be working closely with the state and federal agencies on any economic recovery programs if landowners are impacted with their cattle and things like that due to this. With that, I'm going to go ahead and pass it off to Brad, who's going to give some more specific updates on AgriLife operations as well as the case.
All right. Thank you, Ashley. I'm going to request a new cell phone because mine burned up yesterday. Brad Rader with Gillespie AgriLife. And one thing I do want to start off with is this is a ongoing case right now, actually, with some insider from the producer. We took the sample over there at 9 a.m. yesterday morning. The sample was confirmed by 12, highly irregular, the way this was handled. And so the samples got sent to Iowa last night, and they are still, quote unquote, not 100% sure it's screwworm. So there is a small chance that it may come back as a negative. But we have to act like it is going forward because we're getting information by the minute. And we think USDA and Texas Animal Health Commission are going to keep going forward as it is an active case. One thing we do want to respond is a lot of producers are worried about being, quote unquote, in the quarantine zone. Realistically, it's not a quarantine zone, it's a restricted movement zone. And so we hope to get some more information what that looks like, but you're just going to have somebody come and inspect your animals, pour some insecticide on them that will kill any larvae or any worms that are in them, and then those animals can be moved out. There might be a 72-hour window. We've heard that. Before you can move them, but there is ways to get your animals out. So don't think if you report it that your animals are going to be locked down on your farm for a couple of months, because that is not the case, and that is not what they want to happen. They did, if y'all saw the press conference, Kerrville is the new place for us to take our samples, and so it is relatively close. We can just drive them over there. And we are going to have test kits or collection kits at our office. It should be there this morning. And so if you've got something, probably don't have enough just to hand out anybody that wants them, but if you got something, call me or call the office. We can get you one. And pretty much they just need to be put in alcohol so they can be preserved. The auction will not stop. Even though part of this could be in a quarantine zone, part of their service area, we're being told that extra inspectors are going to come and be there today. Plus, obviously, the auction hands will be on higher alert to be looking for it. So, still very much in the process. To be honest, yesterday it just got leaked out of Washington a little early, which is not protocol. And so, realistically, today would have been the first time it would have been announced. Little different protocol than what we're used to or what should be used to, but hopefully by the end of the day we will know 100% and we'll know what's coming. So, questions? Also, we're going to have a meeting. Farm Bureau has already scheduled it. They had talked to me Monday morning, even before all this broke down. Next Wednesday at the Farm Bureau building, there will be a press release out coming shortly with a QR code where you can register. It's going to be a multi-county seminar on what we can do to take care of these animals, what are our culture practices, what are some of the insecticides that we have, and just what's going on for our producers that are in the area. If we do get a quarantine zone or a restricted movement zone put on us early or midweek this week, I hope to maybe have something on Friday for producers who are in that quarantine zone or restricted movement zone where we can get them up to date on what has to be done to get their animals out. So very fluid. Hopefully we'll know a little more today.
Do they need to be kept on ice?
So as long as I think they're putting alcohol, then no, they do not need to be put on ice. So I think if you don't have alcohol, though, I think putting them in a baggie and keeping them chilled or cool, not frozen, would be the answer to that. Yes, ma'am.
Has a liter of Exxon for $429 per liter. Is there going to be any relief from the county to help with some of these fly sprays or injectables?
Probably not from the county. I would say if any of that it would come from the state or from USDA. I'm not talking for them. It is, but I've already ordered a jug of it, and for what you're saving or could possibly save in terms of a $2,500 calf, it is. And also, we think, and this getting out of the weeds a little bit, Exalt only has a 14-day efficacy on the label. We are working with the product developers. We think that actually it's closer to 60 days. So again, all this information is fluid. We're hoping more of it will come out, but Exalt will be probably the insecticide or pesticide of choice that we will push pretty hard. So, yep.
And I will say, like I said, we're planning on talking to the Animal Health Commission hopefully this morning. And so I can ask that question in terms of residential support programs or if they're going to be distributing things or what that looks like. A lot of things are fluid on their end too, so they might be working through that. But I can definitely ask that today and see where that goes.
I don't know what the price was before this?
It wasn't, it just got
And you guys are
labeled.
watching for price gouging. That's
It
really-
just got labeled, so this is the first time, so it just got labeled. We found out about 3 weeks ago. Also, you have to have a vet's prescription to buy that, so you just can't go online and buy it. Dectomax or ivermectin is the other one that they are pushing, especially like for day-old calves, would be an injectable. There's also a pour-on for that, so not as pricey, but definitely, if you're worried about it, probably can't find any product locally as of today. I don't know, I hadn't been there, but there's lots of places online, Valley Vet, different organizations like that. You can go online and order it. So,
Brad, was that unit that was detected, is it one that was born and raised here, or was it maybe transported in here? Or?
it was born and raised right here.
Okay, and it wasn't near other animals that were transported?
There is a facility down the road that imports and exports lots of animals, mile or two away. That
So that's a potential.
potential, yes, sir.
And then secondly, if we get restrictions put on us, does that last for,
We don't know. We're Kevin had said that they're only 72 hours for surveillance. But he just got a notification. It's up to Texas Animal Health Commission, and they will kind of monitor that. So, to me, 72 hours sounds really short to go through all that protocol and then take it off. So, we have no idea. But I would say a good week or two, probably. So, unless we have another case pop up. So.
Thank you. Thank you, Kevin. And Ashley.
Thank you.
All right, let's move to item number 3, which is consider approval of job descriptions and or posting for positions in 3A as the Indigent Health and Court Collections Office.
Good morning.
Morning.
So we would like to post the job description for the Indigent Healthcare and Court Collections Office Assistant. We did discuss possibly changing that pay range. Did y'all have any input on that?
Right. So other than the pay range question, the posting is unchanged from before, is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
The one in the packet is the same that was posted previously.
Okay. So I think there was some discussion between myself and Lynn and Rosalinda about the pay range. This has been a position that's been very hard to recruit, I'd say competent. Not saying that we haven't had competent employees in that position before, but the application and recruitment has been very slow at the posted rate. And so I know that a budget request has been put in to increase this pay rate some for next budget year. And in the interim, we discussed how we would list the pay range on this job posting. And so it's currently 18 to 1950. I thought we could do 18 to 1950 plus, or give some indication that for a highly qualified candidate, there's probably some additional funds available that we could consider. I don't want to lock out applicants just based on that number, that sort of ceiling on the posting. So that was really the primary discussion for the court today, is if y'all are okay with that, or if you have any suggestions or concerns. with
What was it previously?
It was,
18 to 19.
it says 18 to 1950.
Okay.
And
So what do you want to propose? Change it to?
those are just some options I wrote up. Like, you can just put a plus, mention with experience or something like that at the 1950. And then if we get, if there are a good candidate comes in that qualifies, that maybe justifies a rate above 1950, that could be considered at that time.
Yeah, I'd be good with the third one.
That's my preference too, is the third one.
Third one is good with me.
Does it say verifiable experience?
I think it would have to be, part of the interview process, we would determine if they're qualified or highly qualified. So the third option says 18 to 19 plus per hour. And then it says highly experienced candidates may qualify for a higher starting rate.
That a motion?
That can be the motion, to approve the job posting with an amendment to the pay range to read 18 to 19.50 plus per hour. Highly experienced candidates may qualify for a higher starting rate.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Item number 4A is consider approval of promotions, transfers, payroll changes, and/or hiring for positions. 4A is a grant administrator position.
I'd like to propose the hiring of Jennifer Lugo, Lugo, as the grant administrator with a start date of July 1st, 2026, at an annual salary of $72,000.
I'll move we approve the hiring of Jennifer Lugo for $72,000 annual salary, start date of July 1st, 2026.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 5, consider approval of county clerk minutes for the Commissioners Court meetings.
I've reviewed them, and I believe Commissioner Gillespie's reviewed them, and had a few modifications that have been made, so. I move we approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 6, consider approval of payments for the annual renewals of the county's liability insurance policies. If you remember, we submitted the application for the renewals based on the information in those applications. Now we've received our proposed policy and premiums for those. Go ahead, Lynn. Thank you.
So the liability policy, the invoice is for $207,699. In comparison to last year, it looks like the main increase was in regards to the auto physical damage contribution. And then the property invoice is in the amount of $205,372. And that increased from $195,592 last year. And we did put in to transfer a little money, and that was reflected.
So the complete amount is 207,699 right now.
For the liability,
Yes.
and then for the property, it's 205,372.
No. Okay.
Lynn, did you have a number on last year's vehicle? I missed it if you did. All right.
For the liability last year,
Yes.
it was 187,235. So it looked like the significant increase was in regards to that auto physical damage.
I'll move we approve the payment of both invoices to Texas Association of Counties for the risk management pool one invoice in the amount of $205,372. Second invoice is $207,699.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion, questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7, consider approval and adoption of the proposed amendments to the county's right-of-way regulations. We have visited this item, I want to say 2 or 3 times now. We're back to discuss it again today. Mr. Knightsky, do you want to make a public comment on this item?
Yes, sir. Good morning. I'm Bruce Knightsky, a citizen of Gillespie County. Can I borrow? So just so we get the sequence on things, okay, this originally was written in 2024 by County Engineer Eckert. It was modified last year, again, by County Engineer Eckert. It's being proposed to be modified again this year by County Engineer Eckert. That this invites questioning competency and exactly what the purpose of it is. Okay, so I will go. Who is the county highway authority? Is it the engineer? Is it the commissioners? Does anybody know who the county highway authority is?
You're talking about our county roads?
Yes.
Yeah, so the commissioners are responsible for the county roads, and our engineer is supporting of our efforts to maintain and regulate them.
Okay, and so who's responsible for bridge and culvert inspections? Is that the same?
Yes.
Okay, but who conducts the bridge and culvert inspections? Would that be the county engineer?
In my precinct, it's a combination of both of us.
Okay, so how many bridges and culverts have you inspected, county engineer?
It's your public comment, I can answer your question.
Okay, well, I'm going to suggest that you've not inspected any. Do you follow the TxDOT guidance for bridge inspections?
So our bridges that are falling under TxDOT, they get inspections according to TxDOT. So there's some
the county bridges. In any case, the recommendation is that they be inspected every 24 months, and that there's a report given to the county commissioner's office or county commissioners every time. Okay, so I've not seen yet a single report on bridge and culvert inspection. Okay, so I'm suggesting that the significant gaps exist in the inspecting and reporting. In fact, there's a significant lag. The bridge at Gellerman, I'm told, was replaced 2 years ago, but that's not been updated. Inside of the database, it's still showing that's 98 years old. Okay, so reporting is also significant. Okay,
so Mr. Knightsky, that has nothing to do with our right-of-way regulations.
Yes, it does, because she's spending her time at the computer and not spending her time doing the bridge and culvert inspections, which actually have a safety component. I am told by lots of people that there are not even any weight limit signs posted on many of the bridges. Now, for the weight of the concrete trucks traveling over them, again...
Mr. Knightsky, we're here to discuss our right-of-way regulations. You're moving into a category that we're not discussing today.
Okay. But again, my earlier comments on this, where you have deleted criteria with no discussion, is poor engineering. So now, you told me last time you're an engineer? Are you an engineer, Commissioner Weinheimer?
This is a discussion about our regulations, and it is not relevant to whether I'm an engineer or not.
It is exactly relevant, because we have ethics issues, because the ethics requirements are that the county engineer, any professional engineer's requirements under the ethics are to hold paramount the public health and safety and welfare. And that is not occurring on this item. And this is the third time you're bringing it up with, again, deleting criteria with no explanation. That is not how engineering operates. Sir, I'm told that you told me last time you're an engineer. That is relevant. Because you oversee the
You
engineering
asked me
department?
last time, and I told you last time, it is not relevant what my engineering degree is in because I don't make the engineering decisions for the county. And that is not relevant to our right-of-way regulations that we're discussing here today.
Yes, sir, I beg to differ. It is very relevant because the priorities are misplaced. I asked you last time also if you oversee the engineering department. You said no, but we both know that you do. We both know that you oversee the engineering
I
department,
believe
and somebody has to set
if you would give
priorities.
me a second to respond to that, you asked me if I saw the engineering department, and I told you I was the liaison to the Commissioners Court for the engineering department. That was my response. You continue to add false information to your dialogue that you present to us today.
Okay. Does anybody provide oversight for the engineering department, or does she just set her own priorities and her own actions with no other review?
The engineer works for the Commissioners Court. We are here today to listen to her recommendations with respect to the right-of-way. This is the third time we've been here. She's made modifications every time somebody has brought information forward. So we're here to discuss those today.
Okay. The modifications that you're saying are just wordsmithing. Again, you've deleted a criteria. This is important. Professional engineering standards and professional engineering ethics require that the engineer hold paramount the health and safety and public welfare. And it also holds under the Texas state law 137.63 that the county engineer be a faithful agent for her clients. Her clients are Gillespie County citizens. She is not responding to the citizens. If there is an issue on this, and last time you proposed a hypothetical farmer or rancher who might need assistance, that could be handled very easily with a variance, which again is coming up again today. A variance would be the appropriate way instead of rewriting these. My insistence on this is please do not pass this.
Thank you. All right, Melissa. You want to discuss the, I guess, any revisions or changes since we last discussed this item in the meeting?
Yes. So since our last meeting, there have been some changes to the verbiage in section 201. There were some concerns brought up that it was too vague. So let me pull that up real quick. So there was a concern that we just called out public right-of-way, access easement, or Gillespie County property. So that has been revised to clarify that that's over a county-maintained road, including any associated public right-of-way, public access easement, or county or Gillespie County-owned property. And that's to help clarify that, you know, our right-of-way permits are for county-maintained roads. They're not for roads that are not maintained by Gillespie County. There was also a comment about section 2.01 where the change of land use was not clear enough, so that has also been edited. That has been changed kind of based on the subdivision ordinance. The subdivision ordinance has some existing language for whether a road can be paved or unpaved, and the limits that it has for that is if that road serves no more than 8 tracts that are 10 acres or more. So that that's section 2.01C in the draft, and so that was clarified to read that a right-of-way permit would be required for any existing access connection to a county-maintained road. When the land use served by the access is changed from residential to non-residential use, a parent tract is divided, resulting in more than 8 tracts being served by the same access, or more than 8 dwellings are proposed to be served by the same access. So that was the other edit. Let's see. I think those were the only two. Okay, then in section 3.02 for the residential driveway radius, we had a comment that it may be difficult for a truck and trailer to pull into a radius that's 5 to 10 foot. That was what was originally in the ordinance, but I went ahead and updated that to 5 to 20 feet to allow some additional radius for trucks or trailers to pull in there. And obviously the driveway spacing has been something that's been brought up each time, so I want to address that. There was a claim that there was no explanation to why we were changing that criteria, but I think we've discussed this each time it's come up. So essentially what's currently adopted is from TxDOT in their access manual. As I've stated before, a state highway functions differently than a county road. A state highway is designed for mobility. Its purpose is to get traffic from one city to the next. The primary purpose of a county road, in a majority of cases, is to provide access to local properties. So yes, both of these roads require safe operations, but county roads are going to necessitate more frequent access points, since access is one of their principal purposes. And again, in some review of regional practice in this area, only 3 of 6 adjacent counties even have right-of-way regulations that regulate, installation of driveways at all. And only 1 of 6 counties actually has a adopted driveway spacing. There's one other county that the spacing needs to be safe, and that's still something that we have in our regulations, is that, if there is an instance where the site distance is inadequate, then we can require that applicant to go have an engineer determine where a safe location would be. And so those are a couple of reasons. Furthermore, as you all know, the original right-of-way ordinance was adopted in 2019. There was no spacing requirements there. Before 2019, we didn't even have a right-of-way ordinance at all. And I mean, we have several county roads that have driveways installed closer even than this 100-foot spacing that is proposed. And as far as I know, we don't have any documented pattern of major crashes in these areas. I haven't received complaints from people saying that the driveways are too close together, I can't get where I'm going. So there's no documented pattern of any kind of major crashes attributed to the existing driveway spacing. So I think that spacing is important to, make sure that we don't have a lot of density along the county road, which increases the maintenance burden. But I do believe that suggests that our current standards may be more restrictive than necessary for the current traffic volumes and operating conditions that we see on our county roads. Lastly, safety is not solely determined by driveway spacing. Driveway spacing can still, even if you have a large driveway spacing, you can still have visibility concerns or other safety concerns where visibility is limited due to topography. Just because a driveway is a little bit closer to another doesn't automatically make that area unsafe. And again, our right-of-way ordinance does already require an applicant to hire an engineer to provide an alternate location if it's determined that site distance is inadequate. So my opinion, my professional opinion is that, these proposed access spacing that we have in the amendment, it still maintains reasonable separation between driveways while still providing property owners some flexibility. I believe that's consistent with the rural character of Gillespie County and our lower speed, lower volume nature of our county roads compared to TxDOT roads. And obviously, the engineering department would still maintain safety through our site inspections and through making sure the site distance requirements are still maintained.
Did you talk about the 911 addressing? I don't know if you mentioned that or not. But that was one other issue that came up, and I think you made some modifications to that.
Yes. Yeah, that was one that we had made some modifications to for the last meeting. So that was specific to driveways that were going to be proposed for the future. So, for instance, if you're building a house and the driveway is not proposed yet while you're going to do construction, then you're going to come back and do the driveway later. So as far as the addressing goes, if you're not planning to actually construct anything yet, you wouldn't need a right-of-way permit. We would look at the location to make sure that that location could accommodate a driveway at a future date. We approve that. 911 addressing off of private roads. We don't issue right-of-way permits off private roads, so that's something that you would just take directly to rural addressing. You mark that you're on a private road, and then you get the address assigned, and we do not review those driveway permits, again, because those are not Gillespie County maintained.
I have a question about where you're requiring the permit when there's a change in use from residential to non-residential. Would you ever need that if there's a change in use the other direction, like from non-residential to residential?
I had thought about that. If it's non-residential, so something like a commercial use back to residential, the commercial use driveway should already be designed better than a residential driveway. So I don't know of a case where there would be a driveway that was done for residential use that we would then require them to go reduce the size of it. So I don't think that that would be a common issue that we would see.
Okay.
And it gives a little bit of flexibility. We had a question on, what about an agricultural use driveway? I don't want to, if someone has a driveway that's been used for agricultural use and they switch to the residential use, if they are going to continue to use the existing driveway for, that property, they build a house in their field. I don't think it's necessary that right-of-way permit is needed until they actually make an improvement.
On the enforcement section where it talks about an applicant must certify that the essentially the regulations are complied with by the applicant, is that something that they would do on their application to your office for the right of way? Is that where that certification is contained?
The enforcement,
Section B in enforcement. So the first section talks about like civil remedies. We could file a suit to enjoin if there was an encroachment on a right of way that wasn't permitted. And then Section B says that an applicant will certify to the Commissioner's Court that the terms, provisions, and conditions of the permit will be complied with. And so I'm just trying to, is that something that would they make that certification? Is that part of the application that they would file with your office? Or how would we get that certification?
right, it's probably on the application itself. There's a list of acknowledgments. I don't have that in front of me, but that was part of the original 2019 ordinance, so that was essentially copied from there. It's not something that's included in these amendments, but yeah, there are acknowledgments on the right-of-way permit application itself. So typically there's a note that says, I acknowledge that this abides by all of the right-of-way regulations, regardless of approval of the application. I don't have that in front of me right now, but I can check that.
Melissa and I have discussed the enforcement section a little bit. I don't know if anybody else has with Melissa, but I don't really care for that entire Section B. I mean, I think that's probably was carried over from the 2019 ordinance. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, but it's essentially that section requires the applicant to certify that they're going to comply with the regs, and then if they don't, that there's essentially a protocol where the Commissioner's Court could find that person guilty of contempt. I just don't know that that's a realistic remedy or anything that we would ever utilize. And there's already civil remedies. I think there's statutory criminal remedies as well that could be prosecuted. So I don't know that we need that additional requirement for certification and possible contempt from this court. That's just sort of my own opinion. I don't know if y'all want to discuss that or have any thoughts or input on that, or Melissa, if you have any
Right, yeah.
strong
and
feelings about that one way or the other.
No, I don't feel strongly one way or the other about that. That's just what was adopted in the 2019 ordinance. And, I try to stick as close to the engineering side as I can and not the legal side. So I assume what we had written by the attorney in 2019 for enforcement is what the Commissioner's Court would want to keep in there. So I didn't propose any changes to that at this time.
Personally, I think if the Commissioner's Court tried to go down that road, it would be a possible disaster. I mean, contempt should be used in very, limited and specific ways. I think that would possibly subject the Commissioner's Court to liability for, utilizing the contempt in a way that's maybe not intended. I'm not saying this isn't an appropriate use of it, but, I'm not really necessarily talking about the Commissioners and the Commissioner's Court currently, but in the future, that it could get a little squirrely, I think, if someone misused that provision. I think the more typical remedies would be either civil action, try to get an injunction or a court to order, removal or changing of something that's in the right of way that's not compliant. And again, I think when we discussed it a couple weeks ago, myself and Melissa, I think I located some statutory, sort of general statutory criminal provisions that violation of the order could result in a misdemeanor that could be prosecuted by county attorney's office if they decided to do that. So we have other, I think, more typical remedies. This is just my opinion on this. I think that's sort of an antiquated method of trying to enforce this. I'm not sure it would be that effective. I mean, it's a very small amount of contempt fine, and talks about putting someone in contempt and holding them confined and in custody for 24 hours. I think that's could be dangerous for the Commissioner's Court.
Right, yeah, and I don't know of a situation that we would use that, because typically a lot of right-of-way permitting is enforced by the 911 address. Whenever people go to get the 911 address, a lot of times they just don't even know that a right-of-way permit's required for their driveway. So that's a much more practical and realistic process that we use to educate people that a right-of-way permit exists, and you would get your right-of-way permit before the 911 address. And I don't think that any of our standards are so, crazy that it's a, undue burden for someone to either have their driveway permitted or get the location approved before they get their address. So that's, we run into that all the time. But yeah, I agree. I don't know that I would ever pursue a contempt proceeding unless it's a very serious case. But again, yeah, most of the time the 911 address is really all we need to educate people that a permit exists. And we normally don't get a lot of pushback to that.
I would envision the way this would work typically is if there was a violation, the county engineer's office would notify them, try to get voluntary compliance. If there was a disagreement or failure to resolve that matter, then she would report, or the county engineer would report to the Commissioner's Court, and then the Commissioner's Court could make a determination if we wanted to pursue civil action to, essentially remedy the violation. And that's outside of any potential criminal penalties that could be enforced by the county attorney's office, which we can't compel, them to prosecute that anyways. That would be at their discretion, at the county attorney's discretion. So those are the typical remedies you would see in enforcement of a regulation, not the contempt. So again, this is just my.
So are you suggesting we delete that section?
I would be okay with deleting that entire section 1.05B that sort of provides the alternative remedy of contempt. I just think that it's cumbersome, and I just don't really ever seeing it be used in reality, honestly. And I think that the other remedy, the civil and criminal remedies, are superior to that anyway. And I suspect that was just, carryover from the original ordinance, which was, put in place before I was here. Maybe Commissioner Olfers was here at that time. And that was, I assume that was done for the purpose of when the pipeline was being proposed. That was the impetus to put the regulation in place for right-of-way anyway. So it was a little bit different, probably thought process at the time as far as what, how it was going to be, how it was going to be, imposed on citizens. It was more of a, project-related regulation at that time.
So is that the only concern you have at this point then?
I mean, the other questions I had, I'm okay. I mean, they've been addressed, and so that, and again, that's not fatal, but I think that it's just, I just don't think it's really necessary.
Well, with respect to the right-of-way regulations, again, these were put in place several years ago where before we had very little regulations whatsoever. We had some inconsistencies with respect to precinct to precinct. We came out with a very comprehensive set of regulations. We've experienced activity under that. The engineers interfaced with a lot of people. The commissioners have interfaced with people. We deemed necessary to make some changes to the right-of-way proposals. We held a public hearing, I believe, 2 or 3 meetings ago. We had it on the agenda another meeting ago. We had a lot of public comments. Every time we've had comments, we've made modifications to accommodate the concerns that people had. And with that, what I would like to do is I move that we accept all of the changes that the engineer has made to date, with the exception of, or not with the exception, but with the addition of the deletion of section 105B as the judge suggests. And I move that we approve that.
Did you say with the deletion?
With the deletion. Would you like to restate my motion? I move that we accept the current set of recommendations that the engineer has, with the exception that we delete section 105B.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Additional discussion or questions?
Does Mr. Knightsky have anything else? Mr. Knightsky?
He's gone.
Oh, he left, okay.
Yeah.
Citizen of Gillespie County, but I had interest in what Knightsky brought up about the bridge and culvert inspections.
There is no bridge and culverts in this. It has nothing, bridge and culverts have nothing to do with this.
That the question deserves an answer. Are we conducting inspections?
TxDOT inspects the bridges that are under the TxDOT
Off-grid.
off-grid. Our road foremans are out there every day and they're inspecting and checking, and
And there's a record of that.
not to my knowledge, there's not a written record.
That was my point.
And that's probably something we need to look into, but they
Yeah,
don't do it.
yeah.
They're
I'm
out there
not-
driving
I'm
and
not
checking
expecting
everything.
an answer right now, but I think that the point that Mr. Knightsky brought up is relevant. Because, last year we had that heavy rain in July. And there was a lot of flooded roads. And there were some culverts in the county where I live that were affected by that. And I think the majority of them was simply because of brush and debris had plugged the culvert up. And my concern is, people still drive through that stuff. I witnessed a guy with a big F-350 plow through on Herbert Schaefer Road. It's a private road, but still, the amount of water covered the top of the tires on this guy's truck, which that was his decision, and it was on a private road, so be as it may. But my concern is, what if that's on a county road? And there was county roads that were blocked out where I'm at. And that started me thinking, when Mr. Niski brought that up, that maybe this is something that we should look into. And that's my concern. If it's not being done, maybe that is a future concern, because the engineer's office is supposed to look out for the safety of the county. And that's why I brought it up, and that's why I kind of wanted an answer. But I understand you can't do it right now, but maybe it's something we could look at, because it is important.
You know, our road foremans are out there and they do clean the culverts. You have to remember that most of these roads were built in the 50s and 60s when just basically a cattle trail.
Yeah.
And so we are, like, I'm trying to improve 2 of them this year and to where it'll do the waterfall. But that's an astronomical amount of money. We cannot do it all at one time, but we have to do them in baby steps, obviously.
I agree, but before you can set a list of what you gotta do, you gotta have a list of what you've got.
Correct.
And I don't think we've got that.
Well, our road foremans are pretty in tune to what's out there and the worst ones that need to be repaired.
Okay.
Is it written and that's probably a report we ought to do, but it's not, we haven't, but they are out there with them.
Yeah, but
I will add that over the past, I want to say 2 budget years, we've talked about possibly implementing a software program that would do tracking of everything from signs to road conditions, bridges, we may talk about that again this year during budget to see if that's something we can implement this year. So it would formalize that process of checking, setting timelines, showing how long it's been since maintenance been provided on a stretch of roadway. Signs, sometimes signs go missing, you don't know where they're from. So we're looking at trying to formalize that. We've talked about it, I think, maybe 2 years in a row during budget. But I think if you have more specific questions, you can contact the county engineer's office after the meeting and get some more details on what their current practice is on checking bridges, okay?
thanks a lot.
You're welcome. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask a question, just
Yes.
for clarification on these? Apologies, Judge Commissioners, Kendra Peschek. I have a question.
Ms. Peschek, do you mind coming up here? Because
Yes.
I got a text that they cannot hear the people in the gallery. Sorry about that.
It's okay. For the cameras. Judge Commissioners, I'm Kendra Peschek. I'm an attorney here in town. I actually have a question specifically about the proposed subdivision amendment. So in Article 2, there's a 2.01. It starts with the definition of the permitting procedure, and it looks or reads, at least in 2.01A, that it is all over public, I'm going to call it public infrastructure, public roads, public easements. I assume that's probably a public access easement to deal with utility or something like that, since it's not defined in there. But then when you flip the page to the next page, items I and J, I'm going to go to J first. J says there needs to be an issuance of a right-of-way permit and a receipt of letter of completion prior to obtaining a private road name. So essentially everything in here, even though paragraph A says it only applies to public roads and public access easements, actually does apply to private, under item J, private roads as well. I'm just looking for clarification here so that.
If you have a private road connecting to a county road, we will require them to permit that access that is on the county property or the county right-of-way to ensure the connection between the county road and that private road is proper.
Okay, if it doesn't connect to a county road? And I'm actually bringing this up because it has come up in the last week or two.
If it doesn't connect to the county road, then it's not even in our purview.
Okay, so
If it's
we,
a private drive connecting to a private road, is that what you're saying?
well, it's a private road that requires a new private road name. So it's a private road that Rennell has told us needs a new private road name because of length and things like that.
So if that private road is
So,
connected to the state highway, we have nothing to do with it. If it connects to a county road, we would want to make sure that the connection is proper.
okay, but it's a private road connecting to what would be considered a new private road. So for permitting,
If-
so
if-
under this,
If you're
it
connecting
says,
a new private road to another private road, it's not in our purview. It has nothing to do with the county.
okay, so item J would not apply then. I'm only asking because that's not how it reads, and so I just want clarification on that. No, I read that. It's just that they are read in conjunction, not they're read independently, not in connection with each other. So that's why I wanted that clarification. And so to obtain a 911 address off of a private road, none of this applies is what I'm understanding. Is that correct? Okay. Thank you.
I lost my power.
We do have an open
Does somebody
motion
have a
and
hard
second.
copy of the? You have a hard copy. Ms. Peshek, do you have any recommendation on the way that could be drafted that would alleviate your concern? Or do you want a few minutes? We can come back to this in a few minutes. I mean, I think we can, I'm trying to think of a way to make it where it's only, projects that are subject to that paragraph A. If a permit's issued pursuant to that paragraph A.
If a permit is required under paragraph 2.01A, then under this paragraph J or something, I can wordsmith it a little bit, but I would just, there's some confusion and I would hate for that confusion to be propagated.
I mean, we just need language to essentially clarify that subsection J is only applicable to circumstances where the permit would be required under the subsection A. And if it's a private road, that's, I think that's what we understand, but we want to make sure that it's written that way so there's no question in the future.
Yeah, I can add, kind of like you said, pursuant to section 2.01A, issuance of a right-of-way permit, et cetera, et cetera.
I think we have a motion and a second on the table.
I'll withdraw my motion.
I'll withdraw my second. To get it verified.
All right, let's take a 5-minute recess, and I'll work with Melissa and Ms. Peshek, and we'll see if we can
Sounds
produce
good.
a recommendation real quick. Then we'll
Ms. Neal is also here.
Okay, all right. It's 10:09 a.m. We're going to take a 5-minute recess. We'll reconvene at 10:15. We went over. Okay, it's 10:21 a.m. We are going to reconvene the open meeting of Gillespie County Commissioners Court. We're discussing item number 7, which was approval and adoption of the proposed amendments to the county's right-of-way regulations. Before the break, we were specifically talking about section 2.01I and 2.01J. The concern was there may be confusion about the way that is written and whether we could clarify that those sections are only applying to projects that are subject to a right-of-way permit under the regulations. So during the break, I'm sure y'all saw, but Melissa and Ms. Peshek and I sat down and we worked through this. We've got proposed language for those two sections. I'll just read it out if that works for everybody. So section I, the proposed language would be issuance of a right-of-way permit for a proposed improvement or county approval of an access location for a future improvement is required prior to obtaining a 911 address. That section's the same as proposed except for inserting the word county in front of approval of an access location. And then after that current sentence, there would be a statement that says this section is only applicable to projects required to seek a permit per 2.01A. And then section J would read issuance of a right-of-way permit and receipt of a letter of completion. We're going to insert per 2.03G, which is just pointing to the section where that letter of completion comes from, so there's no question about what that means. And the rest of that sentence would remain the same as proposed. And then after that, again, we would have the same disclaimer that says this section is only applicable to projects required to seek a permit under 2.01A. So to summarize, in section I, we want to insert the word county in front of approval. In section J, we want to, after letter of completion, note that's per section 2.03G. And then both of them would have the disclaimer sentence that reads that those sections are only applicable to projects that are required to seek a permit under the regulations in 2.01A. So that's, I guess, the proposed modification. If y'all want to discuss that or have any concerns or comments, questions about that.
I'm good with it.
I'm fine as well.
All right, so we did have a motion before. Anything else we need to address? Or let me try to make a motion with those in there?
Do you mind, sir?
No, I don't mind. I just want to make sure we're ready for a motion before,
Yes.
Yes.
before we go again. All right. So I'm going to make the motion that we approve the proposed amendments as presented with the following, except for the following changes or modifications. Modification 1, section 1.05B will be removed in its entirety. Section 2.01I will be revised to read as follows. Issuance of a right-of-way permit for a proposed improvement or county approval of an access location for a future improvement is required prior to obtaining a 911 address. This section is only applicable to projects required to seek a permit per Section 2.01A. And then the third change is going to be to Section 2.01J, which will read as follows. Issuance of a right-of-way permit and receipt of a letter of completion per Section 2.03G is required prior to obtaining a private road name. This section is only applicable to projects required to seek a permit per Section 2.01A.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Or I guess any additional discussion?
I just want to say that, again, this is work in progress, and I'm assuming that in the future we'll be getting feedback from our constituents, and we may modify this again in the future. But to me, this is improving what we're doing to serve the citizens of the county.
Well put, Commissioner.
All right, any other discussion or comments? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. I will work with Melissa. We'll get those revisions corrected on the final draft and then get it printed and posted.
Thank you, Melissa.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Lindsay, do you need, I know those were long, detailed motions. I can send you the text if you need it to put into the minutes. Okay. Just remind me after the meeting, please. Thank you. All right, item number 8 is to discuss installation of security measures in the Annex 1. I do have that noted for executive session, so we can talk about implementation of those devices in executive session, which is allowable. Do y'all want to do that now, or do you want to hear some of the other items, then we can go into executive session at the end of the meeting, or later in the meeting?
I'd say let's go.
Okay. Judge, you want to sit in on that? I'm assuming that's one of your items. Anyone else besides you and Jeff? Okay, all right. What about law enforcement? Are we going to have?
Sheriff's here.
Okay.
Unless, I mean.
I don't know if you want, do you want to have a member that can?
Or they're here, I mean, unless you want to knock it out since Neil is here.
Okay. I don't think it will take very long.
Okay.
I don't either.
Well, let's go.
I can, yes, sir.
Okay, all right. Okay, we're going to move to item number 8. It's consider approval of installation of bullet-resistant glass for various offices in Annex 1 and identify a funding source for same. The Commissioners Court is going to recess the open meeting and reconvene in executive session pursuant to 551.076 to discuss this item, and then we will return to the open meeting if we need to take any action or deliberation related to that, and then we'll continue the meeting. I don't anticipate this discussion will be very long. We'll go to the law library for the executive session. It's 10:28 a.m. All right, it's 10:52 a.m. on June the 9th. We are going to reconvene the open meeting of Gillespie County Commissioners Court. Court did meet in executive session under item number 8. Is Jeff still here? There you go. All right, go ahead, Jeff.
I'd like to, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Propose that we approve the bullet-resistant glass for the JPs and the Attorney's Office over in Annex 1. I received 2 bids, and I would recommend that we go with Austin Glass at $41,860.
Well, I'll move we approve the contract with Austin Glass and Mirror in the amount of $41,860 to do improvements in Annex 1.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Let's talk about funding for the project.
I would also propose that we use $10,000 that is allocated for the JP Security Fund, with the remainder balance coming out of the Courthouse Building Fund.
That is the 10,000 amount, is that confirmed what we have in, is that budgeted, or have y'all spent anything out of that this year at all that you're aware of? You have not spent anything? Okay.
I don't know if exactly 10,000 in that area. I don't have that.
Okay, I mean, there's a fund that will have some amount in there, but we budget some portion of that or all of it to possibly expend. And so I don't know if we budgeted the full amount for expenditure. Let me look on Encode and see. And the JP fund, I think, can only be used for the JP improvements, not for the county attorney's office improvements. So you have to segregate, funding-wise, segregate that expenditure to be limited to the JP improvements out of that fund. All right, so I'm sorry, Jeff, you were proposing to utilize the JP Courthouse Security Fund and then fund the remainder out of
the courthouse fund. I wasn't aware that we were going to take it out of that fund until today. I don't have the particulars on it.
You're talking about the maintenance fund? The
building fund.
The building fund from the courthouse, but I'd have to go back and check the numbers to give you the.
Sorry?
Out of the JP fund?
Oh, microphone? You have to turn it on.
$6,999.
That's in the JP Security Fund? What about in the courthouse security in your fund from facilities? Is there-
I don't have that information in front of me. We may have to table this for the next court meeting and let me look at the particulars where I can pull that money from.
Let's move on to another item. If you can maybe try to check that in the next few minutes, and then we can come back, unless you pulled it up. I'm trying to find out.
No, I didn't pull it up, but before we move on item number 7, we don't have an effective date. I was wondering if we could make that effective June 15th.
Okay, yeah, we can go back to that in just a minute.
Okay.
Is that something you think you can figure out during the meeting?
Maybe 10 minutes?
Okay, that's fine, yeah, okay. Okay, so for item number 8, we're going to come back to that to identify a funding source for that. Let's go back to item number 7 briefly, which was approval and adoption of the proposed amendments. We did not discuss an effective date of that adoption. Commissioner Weinheimer?
Yes, I spoke with the engineer, and she said that the 15th would make sense to give time to make the changes and get it prepared to post. So I move that we make it effective June 15th.
Second.
2026.
June 15th, 2026.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Item number 9, consider approval of the payment of juror funds for the purpose of funding and distributing the juror payment cards. McKenna, you want to present this item?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Me and Marcy will actually
Okay,
present
all right.
it. So this is to ensure that our jurors can get their juror cards paid in a timely manner. Currently, within the consent agenda, y'all do have a section for what needs to be reimbursed back to Tyler, which is $9,132. That does not cover all of the jurors that have already been a juror. From my understanding from the treasurer's office, we still need to pay the grand jurors from February to June, and that would be at least another $3,248. And it's also my understanding that there's another jury from the county clerk's jury that still needs to be paid. So Marcy's and my solution is I'm going to let her explain the more logistics since she's done it before.
So essentially what we have are 2 options to be able to fund this. Tyler's funded us $10,000 to be able to pay the jurors that we paid so far. So the $9,000 that she's referencing is to pay back part of that 10. So the options are either the court can approve a block amount, which will be paid as used, but that way we don't always have to come back because it holds up the process. And essentially, let's say you'd approve whatever, $40,000, and then as a jury happens, we'd be able to fund that jury as we go and expense it to the appropriate court that it goes to. The other option is y'all would approve a set amount. That amount then would have to be paid to Tyler or the Rapid Financial. I think
Yeah, the Rapid E funds.
Okay. And at that point, we'd have a prepaid asset. And so then every time a jury happens, we'd have to do a journal entry from the prepaid asset to the court that the jury was from.
And if we didn't use it, they'd reimburse us annually, or I guess it would just.
It would just
continue on.
build, yeah.
Mhm.
So the
Until
county,
you
I mean, for
refresh.
the county finances, you'd better, in my opinion, approving a block amount because we're retaining the money, we're making the interest on the money versus sending it to them. So, but that's
And seemingly it was one less step.
correct. It's a lot cleaner in the process, but, I mean, that's y'all's decision of how.
So essentially,
you
we
wanna
would
do.
approve a certain amount up to X.
Correct.
And then as
Yes.
y'all consume that, if you needed more, we'd come.
It would come back to court for another block.
So
'Cause this is all new.
Yeah.
This whole thing is new. And it's, right now, it's just the county court at law and district court. The JPs are still getting checks cut. But I think eventually.
And they're planning, from my understanding from the treasurer's office, is that they're planning to have the JP start using the cards. I don't know at what date they plan to, but I know hopefully I think within this year, maybe they may make them.
Yeah, and so as of the money, at least for me, I don't know what the money is that Lindsay's jury still, what that number was. But at least so far, what would be expense would be so far from at least the remaining of my grand jurors and what's already been paid to the jurors is at least $12,380, and so that's not including what Judge Nevins's court that still need to be paid, and so.
My last invoice was, I think, $1660, and there was one before that. I'm not sure the number, but the rest of mine has already been paid.
And so, for a specific amount, I would suggest doing at least 30,000 just as a pre-ask for that set block, to not to exceed that amount, because we are spending at least 15,000 at least.
Yeah.
I do, Judge Patel.
Yeah, we make an estimation based on what we think
Yeah.
is going to be.
And so that was just a suggestion.
You
If
just
y'all
never
want
know
to
how-
do less.
Yeah, you just never know how many juries you're going to have in a
Yeah.
year.
I don't necessarily know. I know I at least have for sure one every month with Judge Patello's set, and then I I have grand jury every month. So.
But we need to get some funding for this to get it moving and get it, get the cards funded and get them paid, and then I think we can address a better long-term solution. I feel like this is a routine expense that we could, handle in some way that's more routine than having to do this kind of weird, like, approving blocks randomly. But I guess for today's purposes, we need to approve some expenditure.
Mm-hmm.
There's a recommendation on the cap of the amount. It's different for each court, I know, so I don't know how
At least to cover my jurors, I calculated $3,248 is what still needs to be paid to them.
And that's dating back to February?
February of 26.
Plus what we owe Tyler.
Plus, yeah.
That was how much?
9,132.
10,000, so 10 and 3, or 13.
And then Lindsay had two.
And
12,380.
Lindsay still has two that are outstanding, so.
I think the figure you threw out, 30,000, is probably would get us by and caught up for a while.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how does that, we were going to move a block of money to where?
Well, if you want to actually move the funds, I'll have to set up a new general ledger.
Okay, just approving a fund.
If you, essentially, yes.
Okay.
Just approving them until we don't have to come back, because then we'd have to come back technically for every jury, and then they'd have to wait until the next court, and this other would just make the process go, you know how y'all approve stuff up to, not to exceed? Essentially, that would be the idea, and the money would stay with us until, like for her juries that have already happened. We would essentially process those, and Lindsay's too. We would process those, but any upcoming ones, once we get the juror list, from the courts, those cards could be loaded until we reach that magic number that y'all determine. And then once we reach that, we'd have to come back and get another block.
So who's the vendor? Who's the vendor we're approving?
Rapid.
We're not going to use them. We're going to do it
it's-
in-house. We're not going to use Rapid.
No.
The
we have to use
money's,
them.
the money source goes through Rapid E funds, but it's through Tyler as well.
So we would be approving up to a certain amount for payments to Rapid Financial Solutions for juror.
Correct.
I move we approve an amount of $30,000, not to exceed $30,000 for jury payments through Rapid Financial Services.
Rapid funds.
Through Rapid Funds.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. We
Thank you.
good for now? Okay. All right. Item number 10, consider approval and acceptance of donation of books to the county for the benefit of the county library.
Good morning.
Morning.
So this list of books that we have for donation to the library is books that were found throughout various county buildings. And so we are wanting to accept them as donations. They have never been cataloged. They've never been in the library system. They do not have any Gillespie County or library stamps, markings, anything like that. And so we would like to just accept them as donation. There is 19 German titles and then 120 other assorted English titles as well. And again, we would just like to accept them as donations.
And that's the list that's in the packet?
Yes, sir.
And they were found in county buildings?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Don't ask me how. I have no idea.
So our office found them whenever we were doing, Carter did, when he was doing fixed assets. He went through all the buildings, and part of it, he went through the old clinic building. And just to make sure there weren't assets that were still in there that got left behind from when facilities moved and stuff. And so he found all these books and all kinds of stuff. So him and Crystal got the books, brought them to our office. And we've now given back to the library because we don't know what to do with them. But they shouldn't be over there is obviously the answer.
They were likely books that somebody dropped off and gave to the county and didn't really document it.
We have no clue how they got there. Because it used to be empty. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like furniture. It used to be empty and now it's full again. So we have no idea who's
It's a
putting
storage
stuff there,
unit.
but
I want it empty.
I would too. We try to keep it empty.
Yeah, there's just no way of knowing exactly where, and this is the cleanest deal. So I move that we approve the acceptance of a donation of books to the county for the benefit of the county library.
Yes, ma'am. So the, Commissioner Yancey, we do have one comment on this one, and we have two on number 11. Just so everybody knows.
Okay.
So is your, I guess we're operating under the assumption that these were brought to the county by someone for donation, and it just wasn't documented. And we're trying to correct that to make sure we have some sort of record of it becoming a county asset. Is that essentially what we're doing? Okay. All right. All right, Ms. Pugh, you want to make your comment on this item? Okay.
No. That was in the box. Yeah, that's one that's already approved.
Got it. Okay. My name's Ronnie Pugh, and I have been involved in taking a look at the German books as far as their value, and I'll be addressing that in the next section, I guess number 11. But what I would like to talk about specifically is this idea of donation, because I think the concept of donation really needs to be defined, and the county needs to be made clear as to what we mean by donation. I understand that this move is specifically for a box of books that was found somewhere else. The county that has no record as to how it got there, as was just discussed. And the only way that it can be, quote, transferred or integrated is to make it a donation or allow the library to accept donations, but then it will be moved to for either the auction or the Friends of the Library to be sold. Looking at the German books, which we have inventoried more than 300 books that used to be in the bookcases in the library, all of those are donations. So the library has a history, and I wonder why we need this particular effort, since donations have been a part of the library since 1938. Matter of fact, the German book collection started as donations. And having looked at 300 and some books, there's not a single book in that collection where there's any expenditure of county funds. It was all donations as late as the 1990s. What we have currently, just to give you a little bit of background, is in the 300 and some books that we inventoried, cataloged, we noted the donors, and I put some of the names that you have, that we found in the paper, just to give you a reference. There's more. There were donations from other libraries, especially the German areas over in East Texas, Mason, the surrounding areas, because apparently there was an effort, from what I can tell from articles in the Fredericksburg Standard, of Fredericksburg, or the library, becoming the hub for German book preservation or donations. So this has been going on for a very long time. The question about this donation and then putting them up for auction is what I'm really concerned about. Many of us donate with the understanding that if we donate something of value, monies or something, that will be taken care of. And I think we need to make this clear. That's the one point. What exactly do we mean by, or does the county mean by donations? And how will these donations be treated? And if there should be a change in terms of a need to change the direction of the initially stated donation, that the descendants or the people who are still alive be contacted. And that really would be my preferred way, or my suggestion to you, which will be cumbersome, that if you are going to sell or put up for auction books that are donated and there are descendants, these descendants should be contacted. I know of one case in particular, in this particular lot that you are considering, where the family is still very much alive. This is the Schneider, Ellebracht, and I forgot the other names that are involved. They're still here. They're interested in getting these books back. So I would ask that you consider how these donations will be handled, or if they should not be part of the overall collection. Granted, there are books in the collection, and I guess it's really for the next part, and I'll just stop with this sentence. Granted, there are books, for example, in this case, these books, I looked at them. I am the German speaker, and that's why we volunteered to work with these books to find out exactly what they're about. This is obviously a collection of church books or religious books pertaining, I believe, to in Cherry Spring, specifically out of Cherry Spring. I talked to some people from Cherry Spring, and they believe that it may have come from the church, specifically the historical Lutheran-type religious books, the prayer books. But there are also donations in there that the families, I think at least one family, would be very much interested in being returned to their possession. That's all I have on this particular part, number 10.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions?
Ms. Pugh, you said that some of these books on the list that I have does not have the donor.
No, okay. At the library, they did not list the donors.
Okay, you have another list.
No, these books I never knew about until yesterday.
Oh.
So they're not part of the initial. And as I would point out in number 11, apparently there are lots of other German books that I just found out about. I would like to take a look at. I would like to get permission so we can find out exactly who donated them, if there is a relationship. I just was not aware of that. But these ones come from Cherry Spring. It's clearly marked. There are names in most of the books.
Thank you.
So the list in our packet, is that the list of books that we are accepting as donations today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so this list is what is
Been
found in
found.
these boxes?
Yeah,
But
we do.
that's to understand, not all the German books, right?
No, this is just what was found, and
One box.
yes, that's it. And we don't know the original origin of the books, where they came from or who they were donated by. We just know that they were found in another annex of a county building, and so we are just accepting them as a donation, so that way we can properly figure out where they need to go.
I guess that's the decision that the county needs to make, is to go back to the original family, because the names are in the books, in most of the books. There are some very technical, religious type books that have no names in them.
So the books have names in them? Or are we talking about books that we already have in our inventory?
No, these are not in inventory.
I know.
So, it's, yeah, that's a few
So
of them.
these are some that we don't know where they came from? But you're saying there's names in them, but people...
Ms. Pugh's thing.
I did see a couple of names whenever I was looking through them. Off the top of my head, I do not recollect what they are. I do recall seeing something about Cherry Springs in there, in one of the books.
Yeah.
Another one. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's
Yeah.
fine, but...
Yeah, that's-
May I briefly address that one? This is one of the donated books. It just happened to have a newspaper article about the minister by the name of Bergner. Anybody, I think, that grew up in Fredericksburg ought to know the name Bergner, especially Hans Bergner, because he was the superintendent of schools. He died in 1993 when I started working for the school district. But so we know that there are descendants there. But it's also a book that very much is part of Gillespie County history, because he's very much respected in this community. And here we have, not only that, he describes, gives a detailed history as to the church in Dawes, every little community, Cave Creek, everybody else, how ministers and how funerals are handled, and all kinds of other things that really would, I think, should be considered to be kept. I was going to bring that up. Yes.
So for my understanding, your preference would be is that somebody make an effort to get these books as an opportunity back to the original owners or the families of them before the county accepts them as a donation. That's your point?
Well, either way, but if the county, whether the county accepts or not accepts them, yes, we should contact the people, because the thing about it is, putting these books up for auctions is a big business. The 72 Texas books that were just auctioned off in May, and I have to get involved in that because, well, I'll explain that later. But the point is, this is a big business in the commercial world. We're really selling books for $15 for 72 books to people who are going to make big money out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we owe it to the families, if we can find descendants, to give them that option.
Yeah, and if they get accepted by the county, then we can't give them away. That's the challenge, I think. Once they become county property, we just can't give them away to somebody. So I understand your concern about trying to get them to an opportunity for the original families to take them before we accept them, is what I'm understanding, so.
But that's why I'm saying I think we need to do some research on exactly what does donation mean in terms of legal.
But it would
Okay,
depend
what
on
are the options are?
it would depend on the donor's intent, and so, you know, I mean, somebody could donate and say, I'm going to give you this to utilize, but when you stop using it, you have to give it back. And in a lot of these, we don't know what the donor's intent is, so I mean, we can do our best to try to, you know, what we think is the right thing to do. And I think we're getting some confusion. I think there's, I mean, right now we're talking about just accepting these into county assets, and the next item is about possibly disposing. And I think Ms. Pugh's concern is about us disposing of these books, you know, publicly without giving an opportunity to return them to the donors or the families or something like that. And so, which I think we talked about the last meeting, we'll continue to talk about.
And we're talking about two different sets of books, too. We have these that were found, and then we have some that are in the library as well.
Right, so we have some that are already at the library, and we have these ones that were located in another annex building that we don't really have any record of them being into the county assets at all. And so this step is to bring them in as a county asset, and then, and this is a different list than the books that are already in the room over there at the library. Ms. Pugh, have you had the opportunity to look at these ones that were just these ones that were found? I mean, I know you've looked at them a little bit, I guess. Did you do that today or
Just
yesterday?
that one box, it all comes from Cherry Springs.
Okay.
And they're, with the exception of about 3 or 4 of them, they're all very, I'm gonna call religious type of books, prayer
Okay.
books. but a lot of them do have names in them, the prayer books.
But can we accept them in, but also accept them under the understanding that if the families that these books originally belonged to would want them back, that we could give them back?
I mean, that's probably the safest bet since we don't really know how they were donated or what the, restrictions were. I mean, that's probably the most restrictive way to accept it would be, if we don't utilize it for that purpose, that they would be returned to the donor in lieu of us, disposing of them by public auction. But then we have the bigger question of how to handle all of these books in their, in their entirety.
And that's my concern. I mean, we don't want to just lose all of our older books. To some degree, that is our heritage.
Well, let's talk about accepting on number 10, and on number 11,
Okay.
we'll talk about the next item on the disposition of some. Anybody want to make a motion? You want me to do it? You want to go for it,
So-
Commissioner?
I feel confident that you could do it better than any of us.
There is a current motion which has died for lack of a second, I will say.
And what was that? Was your motion just to approve?
Was just to approve the exception of the donation of the books, and I would say that has died for lack of a
Okay.
second. We can start over.
All right, I'll make a motion for item number 10 that we accept the list of books as donations to the county with the stipulation that the donor's intent is that if the county intends to dispose of these books in the future, that we attempt to return them to the donor or the donor's heirs prior to listing for any kind of public auction or sale.
Second.
A motion and a second, and just for clarification, this is the list that is in the agenda packet for today's meeting. It's approximately 3 1/3 pages long.
138 titles, is that what you said?
139 titles total. No, just 19 German books, so less than a box worth.
All right, any other discussion on this part? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion carries. Let's move to item number 11, which is consider declaring a list of county library items as surplus or salvage, and approve the disposition of those items by listing them on GovDeals. I don't think we have a list of these proposed items.
It's the same list.
The same list?
Yes, sir. We wanted to try and,
Well, that's not going to work.
No action.
So we think some of the books that we just accepted for donation are these donated old German books. Are some of these not? Are some of these other things that seem to fall outside of that?
120.
the other 120 items are just regular English books that literally have no idea where they came from besides just being in another county building. We have no record of them.
So I see that there's, I guess, a handful that are noted as German on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So outside of that, I mean, some of these are fairly old books, but they're
Yes.
We don't think they have any sentimental or historical attachment to the community. Is that a fair statement, or?
Honestly, I don't know about the German books. I did my best to try and figure out what they were and translate.
I'm talking about the
but
other than
the
the
others,
German books, the non-German. Okay.
I honestly don't know.
Okay. We have two people that are signed up to speak on this.
Okay,
Ms. Pugh, do you want to follow up on, and then Ms. Pressler's next.
I was going to say Elder Brock. Sydney.
I've been involved in preservation in Gillespie County for quite some time, both as a graduate student. I chose to study Gillespie County history, the county history, between 1850 and 1900. Therefore, I became very much familiar with what's in the library, both in terms of Texas books and German books. I am a German speaker. I trained as a linguist in the Army. And after working for the school district, I created my own little company and did walking tours and tours of Gillespie County, but then decided to to teach in San Antonio, and I retired as an associate professor from San Antonio College and came back to be here full time. Part of my big accomplishment in my mind is the country schools. I was the lead that developed the strategies and successfully testified in front of Congress and all these kinds of things that we had to do in order to get the country schools to the county, which I would say today, and I think most people agree, was a success, and the county schools are flourishing and are an asset to the community. Following a very similar track right here is a lot of people are aware of the German collection that was initially in the bookcases that most of us know about since 1984. And in talking to people about why this German collection, what should we do with it, since most people don't speak German anymore, and hardly anybody checks it out, which is two of the things that the library staff brings up repeatedly, is there is a need to document Gillespie County history. And that's really what these books represent. As I mentioned before, we have about 300 in this particular collection that came out of the bookcases that in 1967, after the renovation of the McDermott building, were housed in the designated German room, which then became the Texas room, and which now is the young adult room. There has been an effort to preserve these books to document. We initially looked only at the books from 1840 to 1910, or beginning of the World War I, with the understanding that the contact with Germany was going to be limited with World War I, and that most of the books came actually from Germany. However, in going through the books, and I pretty much handled every book, and we had to catalog them because they were the cart catalog or the documentation that the library had did not include many of these books. So we actually cataloged them, and by the way, also recorded the donors in that same document. But we found out that basically we have a set of books that were brought from Germany up until about the Civil War, and the majority of books are after the Civil War, when in Missouri, in particular St. Louis, we have a large German population that printed its own German books. So most of the books between 1910 and after the Civil War are printed out of St. Louis. The second set of books that we have in this collection is what's referred to, or I refer to, as the Severin books. This is an individual who was in Fredericksburg, German, from Munich, who was in Fredericksburg in the 70s and 80s, and apparently was very much engaged with the community, returned to Germany in the 80s. I don't have the exact dates in front of me, I apologize. And donated about 4 boxes of books of current German literature and German intellectual activities as you have in the books. So that's another book. And then we have a series of donations that were made in the 80s and 90s by individuals who visited Fredericksburg and wanted to document their own German area. So these are specific to German regions, obviously all in German. So we have 3 different donations, but all with a very specific intent to give to the library. The same thing, then we found out as I was trying to figure out why were they all moved in the bookcases and how did the bookcase situation came about. The bookcase situation came about because the Texas books, they had too many Texas books. And even though the German room was designated as part of the renovation, they received the donation of these 2 bookcases to move the German books in there and then use the German room as a Texas room with a Texas collection. And we also, and I asked the library, and then I got interested into what is the history of the library. There's no records. And Megan was very good about giving me 2 big folders, 4 folders, I guess, packets of newspaper articles and other articles as to the history. And I have that summarized in that paper that I gave you. But basically, the German collection that we have, and I'm talking about not the Severn books, and I'm not talking about that recent donation, but the ones basically from 1840 to about World War II. There's some books in there up until World War II, give or take, basically based on donation. When the public library was started in 1938 at the Vereinskirche, it was shared with the Historical Society and a separate section for the library and a separate section for the German books. And all those books were donations. And I've been asked the question, what's the difference between the Historical Society and the library is the fact that the books were able to be checked out. The Historical Society did not check out books, so that's why that separation, and that's why these separate collections. It then moved the German collection, and it's interesting when you look at the articles and the references of Dallas papers, Houston papers, they always refer to the German room and the German collection. And up until 1991, it was actually also part of the brochures and the advertisement. And when you look at what the Chamber, the Visitors Bureau had, it was always mentioned that there is this German collection. So there has been this historic value, there has been this interest, not just within the community, but also, as I want to say, part of tourism. And people do come in. I myself, when I did my walking tours, we always stopped in the library and we took a look at the German collection of the books and, the type of, and I have a summary of the topics that I gave you. So it's been very much part of Gillespie County history. What we have right now, and where I think what I'm asking, I have 5 things I'm asking the court to consider for the future. We are at a level where someone needs to make a decision, in this case, of course, the court, as to which type of library we're going to have. The traditional library that the library has always been until 2025, when the decision was made to get rid of the books, and the books were packed up in boxes that did not meet any standard for preservation and stored upstairs. Or do we want to continue the tradition of, or do we want to move to the library that's strictly current books, check in and check out? And I'm just, generalizing it that. I'm asking the court to the first 2 things are extremely important. I think the first one is, and that is to have a public meeting, to call for a meeting, because there's a lot of community interest on both sides of the library, these competing models that we have. One concerned about preservation, the other side concerned about having a modern 21st century library. And as I said, I believe it's only the court that can resolve this. The second thing I'm asking, and this has to do primarily with the German books, to include the Texas collections. And I'm adding the Texas collection because the library was known throughout the state as the best collection of Texas books. And I'm very concerned that in this list of books, many Texas books are in it, books that are out of print. I don't know if you're all familiar with Gilbert and Terry Jordan. They're Mason people that was part of the original Gillespie County. They were the historians in terms of the Germans in the Hill Country, or people like Walter Prescott Webb, who is the writer in terms of fiction about Texas, these types of books. But there's also a reference book in that collection, and I wish I'd known about that. Saved me a lot of time. I'm currently a volunteer researcher for the Texas Historical Commission to document cemeteries in the county. And one of the things you have to go back to is the land grants. And here's a 3-volume book that lists all the land grants in the county from 1840 on. Would be a fantastic book if people would know about it. Would help a lot of the title companies and everybody else. But it's on the list to be auctioned off. So we're looking at books that not only have history in terms of specifically Gillespie County or the Germans, but are essential or really document the western part of the general history of Texas in terms of the development of the West. So going back to the German book, and I'm sorry I'm getting offline here a little bit, the second thing that I'm asking you is to hire or engage a curator or preservationist to, before any more books are sold, before any more books are destroyed, and that was mentioned to me yesterday. They're ready. Some of them are ready to go into the trash can. That we get a specialist. Spend that money. I think we owe it to the people who donated. We owe it to the people of Gillespie County to really resolve what are these books are about in terms of value. We don't know if there's any rare books, but more importantly, how they should be treated. I had 2 individuals who voluntarily came over. One, it's again listed in the paper I gave you, who both said that the conditions of the book is surprising, that some of them are more than 150 years old, but haven't been in that bookcase since 1984, and nobody's ever touched them, and they had no outside air. It was also a preservation technique. And that's why the reason. There is a thing that is in the books called foxing, which is the deterioration of paper over time. It is not mold. Foxing is not mold. And again, I have it listed in your paper based on a suggestion from Nicole Begley at the Nimitz Museum. Best thing is to put them in the freezer to kill whatever that is, whatever that causes the foxing. But there's also sprays that you can use. But hire a preservationist, hire somebody that can really take a look at these German books as to the value, as to the preservation, and so you can make a good decision as to what to do with them. The third thing I'm asking is to suspend any sale or auction or whatever you want to do, or whatever it's called, of the German books and the Texas books until you truly have had a look at what's there and make a decision on the preservation of the county history, because there's nothing else in Gillespie County except the Historical Society, and they're exactly doing the same thing. The last thing that I'm asking is permission to continue to look at the additional books that are found to get an assessment of what they are. And I guess it's not the last thing, I'm sorry. And the last thing is to kind of formalize the committee or the people that have been working on the German books. So we do have a little bit of a standing, and also can report directly to you what we're finding and present our position for preservation. There are solutions, and I think between a give and take between the modern library and between the preservation, but I think we need to sit down in a formal environment and hash this out. Yeah. The books that you're selling, by the way, that they were donated.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Pressler. Lindsay, please.
Good morning. I'm Christy Pressler, and I am a resident of Gillespie County, and that's going to be really hard to follow. She has amazing ideas. I think they are all wonderful. I suppose I'm a little late to the German book story that's been going on, But when it was brought to my attention what was going to be disposed of, I can add a little bit more of a human side to this instead of let's preserve them because it's our county's history, which that definitely, that's important. This book right here, this is my grandmother. The book was addressed to my grandmother and it was given to her. If I had to guess, this was in a set of books that my mother donated to the library when my grandfather passed away and they cleaned out his man cave or his book room. He kept everything. And she took items to the library and was promised they would be preserved and archived. And that was, if anybody that knows my mother knows that would have been the most important thing for her. She wanted to preserve it for future generations. And so this county wouldn't lose where it came from. So I concur with the suggestions or recommendations of actually hiring somebody and see what is fixing to be destroyed. I mean, this is our history. The world's bad enough the way it is. I don't have a problem with moving forward because over time things change. But let's not be like a lot of other places in the world that have erased history because it wasn't what they wanted or it wasn't something they wanted to portray. Let's preserve history here because this is a great place. And if our ancestors, I mean, 3 of you right here are multi-generational, and this should concern y'all too. Your families were prominent. They had a big hand in developing this county way back in the day. As Commissioner Cromer, I think it warrants putting everything on hold, possibly consider hiring somebody to look, to see what we have and the best way to preserve them. And that would be my recommendation to the court. Thank you.
Thank you. Megan, what's the library's interest in trying to, I guess, dispose of these? I mean, what's the library's concern, or what are you trying to accomplish, I guess, by disposing some of these books? Are you just trying to make space, or I don't really know what the rationale is for it.
So we want to make space because we are a small library. We are limited on the amount of space that we have for our current collection. And so we just want to be able to provide as much resources to the citizens of Gillespie County as we can by improving our collection. And that has been taking some time because we did do a major purge when we were closed for COVID in 2020. And we did get rid of a lot of books. We did not touch German books for any concerns. It was more of just our nonfiction collection and fiction and children's collection. The books were very outdated and, honestly, awful condition. And so we did a purge. We got rid of a lot of stuff. And we're trying to build that collection back up and to be able to give more books of interest to the citizens of Gillespie County. And we do have input from citizens on what they would like, and we try to accommodate that as best as we can. And so, honestly, I don't want to see these books thrown away. I am a 6th generation descendant from original settlers here in Gillespie County. These books, yes, they do mean a lot to me. I don't want anything bad to happen to them. But if we could find some way to make it to where these books are still accessible to these people, that would be great. If it means, possibly working with the Historical Society to get them maybe put in the vines in the original library of Gillespie County, that is a wonderful idea. I honestly love that idea because, original library, original settlers, original German books. In my mind, that makes sense. But as of right now, the people who come into the library, who utilize our library currently, are not concerned with these German books. They want the library as a public library, as a community space. And so that is what we are trying to accomplish.
Okay, thank you. I think that the question on the library, sort of the vision of the library moving forward is a broader question. We're not going to answer that today. I don't understand what the sort of rush is to, dispose of these books. I
And-
mean, if there isn't any, and if it's solely a space issue, I mean, we can find space, I think, in other facilities to, condition space that's appropriate place to put them, while we work through this issue of reviewing and working on preservation and that. I mean, that's just, I don't understand what the sort of urgency is to try to push through these unless there's something that I'm not understanding or not aware of.
As far as I know.
There's no other rooms anywhere? I mean, everything's, I haven't been over there, so I can't comment, but to me, that's a good-sized building.
Mhm.
I mean, to have a little area for history, I don't know.
Yeah, so every space in the library is used. And so it's hard to find space for any new collections or old collections to try and find where we can put them. And so it's just, really the space. Because the entire downstairs is our children's collection. So we have easy books, easy early readers, juvenile nonfiction, juvenile fiction, and then our teen room, which was the Texas room. That is all of our young adult books. And then we still have the Texas collection. It's just with our nonfiction collection, but it is still separated, so you can still determine what is what, but the entire upstairs is used as well.
And what's upstairs?
So we have our nonfiction collection, our adult fiction collection, magazines, audiobooks, large print. We have paperback books, and then, of course, the Texas collection.
So the Texas collection is in two different areas?
The Texas collection is upstairs in the nonfiction section along the back wall. And so,
By these auctions, and if you look at your list, you have all kinds of Texas books on there, and that's why I'm asking. And my recommendation was to combine them, because there's not that much left of the Texas books. What's on the walls are modern books of history, but if you look again, what's in the disposal, for lack of a better term, that is all part of the Texas collection, and it has been 72 books were auctioned off in May, so the Texas collection has pretty much been decimated. But there's some left, and there's some left that can be rescued.
Do we have an estimated total number of books for German and Texas collection?
well, with Miss Pugh saying as for German books, about what, 300? Yeah. And then I don't know the Texas collection off the top of my head. I am going to estimate about 4,000 books, if not more. Like I said, I don't have the number off the top of my head. But in my time being at the library, I have not wanted to pull any books from the Texas collection unless literally based on condition. If they literally fall apart in my hands and I cannot repair them, then that is my only concern for removal.
And if I remember correctly, that we've had duplicate copies of those also?
Yes, yeah, and I was not the one to withdraw those books. That was predecessors before us who withdrew these books. So in reference to these two books here, this one, we have an office collection. This book is in our office collection. We also have a duplicate copy on our shelf in the Texas collection. And this book by Mr. Webb, we also have upstairs in our Texas collection. So we still have multiple copies of books. We just want to make sure that we have enough space to where we can continue adding on, because there are new Texas books coming out. We want to add to the collection. And if we don't have the space, how can we add to the collection if there's no space left?
From all angles.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I think I proposed that at the last meeting, that we, because I mean, I think what we need is a group of people that can review these things, and, if they come to a consensus, like this is appropriate for destruction, then that would alleviate, hopefully, concerns from the public that know that it's been through sort of a vetting process, and things aren't slipping through the cracks. And so I don't know if that's, is that something that we want? I think my request was that it be brought back maybe by the library, but, if that's not something that y'all are comfortable doing, we can have,
Well,
somebody else can work on it.
Well, and at this time, we're not looking to form a committee just because we started our summer reading program, and so we are 5 times as busy as what we are normally during the year. So if anything, it could be pushed back to the fall or winter after summer has concluded, just so that way we have more time, because we are limited on staff.
Okay, so I guess the agenda item is about disposing of these books.
Yeah.
So we take no action on it.
All right, so we'll take no action on the disposition of those books that were requested on the agenda today.
Okay.
I will,
Somehow or another, these other books that are, I'm gonna call them frail, fragile, whatever, they need to be in a climate controlled area, I mean, just not,
yeah, I think that.
not in a old building.
That were suggested, and I have suggested the library, but unfortunately they have not been implemented.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we can put this stuff on the agenda, these issues of preservation and storage for next meeting, and try to resolve some of these sort of short-term concerns. And also, I will start working on I've put an item on the next agenda to discuss committee formation. We'll just do that at the court level
Sounds good.
to try to get that ball rolling on that as well. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Add to your list.
Yeah.
We got people waiting here for 15.
Let's go to item number 15, which is approval of variances to the county subdivision regs. I know y'all's been waiting for a long time. Who wants to go first, Melissa or applicant? Got it.
Righty. A quick handout for you.
What makes you think quick?
Well.
Has the ink had time to dry? Is the ink dry on those yet?
Yes, sir. Emmett Gold, Hewitt Engineering, with a variance request regarding reduction of minimum horizontal curb radius to 130 feet from the county minimum of 200 feet for the Tobiana Hill subdivision. So what you've got in front of you there is an exhibit showing our signage plan, proposed signage plan for the subdivision. There's a green highlight on a few of the curves, and those are the curves where we're proposing a reduced curb radius to 130 feet. Primary reason for those is site topography. As you kind of go and turn up into the site, there's a couple of hills, high points, and so we're trying to follow contours as best possible. And then also other environmental type site constraints, existing desirable trees, things of that nature that we're trying to avoid with our roadway. So as you come in off of Ranch Road 965, you can see we're showing a proposed 20-mile-an-hour speed limit sign. And then there's a long straight run with no reduced curve radii. And then you turn up and kind of climbing up into the site there. And we have a few reduced curb radius locations. So the radius that we're proposing exceeds the minimum recommended radius per state and federally adopted design guidelines. And then in conversation with the county engineer and looking at the manual of uniform traffic control devices, signage standards, we're proposing these advanced curve warning signs in those locations. So again, just the reason for the reduced radius is for site constraints, topography, existing desirable trees, impact from a grading standpoint to existing conditions out there. And again, it's in accordance, what we're proposing is in accordance with state and federal guidelines for curb radius for that speed limit. And then the signage is also in accordance with state and federal guidelines for advanced curve warning signs.
So, Melissa, why are our regulations tighter than state and federal? Or is that an interpretation or?
So the subdivision ordinance has the 200-foot minimum curve radius for a secondary road, then 400-foot for a primary road. That's what was in the ordinance prior to 2022, I think is also in the 2003.
So it's indifferent of speed?
It's based off the classification of the road. It's not linked to a direct speed limit. So looking at the radiuses that are adopted by TxDOT, state and federal levels, the 200 and 400 doesn't directly correlate with any of the specific speed limits. So the 200 is about a 25 mile an hour speed limit. 400 would be somewhere between 30 and 35. So I'm not 100% sure where exactly those originated, but yes, as generally a secondary road, I would assume is about 30 miles an hour, and a primary would be 45. So essentially, the request is to have the signed speed limit lower than what we would normally consider to be the speed limit in order to accommodate those tighter turns.
So what's your recommendation?
With the speed limit signed, it's 20, and with the advanced warning signs, I don't have an objection to the reduced radius for these sections. There is basically our variances should be always based off of physical hardships unique to the specific property, and I would say that that's applicable in this case versus like a subdivision in an open field where that doesn't exist. So.
Any other discussion, motion? Anything else you want to add?
No, that's it. It kind of, as we work through this, like Melissa said, the county regulations don't state a design speed limit. It's kind of assumed referencing versus, state and federal design guidelines. Okay, maybe that's what, the speed limit is. And I don't know if there's a standard for posting speed limits on many subdivisions, private subdivisions. But I would also just kind of point to, generally as you enter the site where these reduced curves are, it's past a private gated entry. So the assumption's there that, people that live there and drive it every day and they're familiar with it, and it's not, a through street that may have people visiting it, seldomly that aren't familiar with the roads in that area.
You got anything else, Judge?
I don't.
I move we approve the requested variance as presented.
Second?
There's a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your patience.
Thank you.
Okay, item number 12 is the consider approval of the county library to apply for the TSLAC interlibrary loan reimbursement program.
Yes, so this is a program that allows us to receive some money back from loaning out some of our materials to other libraries in Texas. And it's just a basic program where you apply for it. They have a formula to determine, how many books you sent out and how much it would cost and everything, and then they would just give us a reimbursement of a portion of that. And so we just like permission to apply, because last year we did apply for it without permission. I was not too happy about that, but we did it. We did receive some money back, if I remember, about $200 or so. And so, if we can get some money back for it, that'd be great.
I move to approve for county library to apply for Texas State Library and Archives Commission interlibrary loan reimbursement program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jeff, you want to go back to your item? All right. We'll go back to item number 8, which was the discussion on the installation of bullet-resistant glass. We were going to talk about funding source for that project.
All right, thanks again. I propose that we use the $6,999 out of the JP's fund, $5,000 out of 10-515-4501, which is an Annex 1 fund,
4501,
4501,
and that was $5,000.
5,000. And then out of 10-511-5809, $30,000.
I move we approve the funding for
Is
the
that agreeable?
bulletproof glass.
Is there 10 in there? Yeah. Okay. But we'll have a little extra.
You still want to stay with the places? Places?
If she has the 10 in there, let's use the 10 from the JP fund.
Oh, it is
I was
10.
looking at the net.
Oh, okay. So I move we approve the funding for the bulletproof glass for Annex 1, $10,000 from the JP Security Fund, $5,000 from 10.515.4501, and the remaining amount from 10.511.5809.
Correct.
Second.
All right. Motion and a second. You get all those numbers? All right.
See Don.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Jeff.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Jeff.
Item number 13, consider approval of the purchase and payment for a Ford truck for Precinct 1.
As you all are aware, I had, and the next item will explain it better, but we had two of the road hands got caught in a hailstorm and had both pickups beat up horribly. And we were going to be without a truck, one or the other, getting repaired in the near future. So we are going to forego buying a different piece of equipment, and we're opting to purchase another pickup so we can stay operational this summer. Jacob went and got two bids. It's for a 2026. It'll be a 450. Jacob and Mike felt that the 450 would have better braking in carrying the loads with that skid steer and equipment that they haul around. We had two bids. However, McLean Ford was the lowest bid at $84,444.76. They were the lower of the two bids that's required, and I would move to approve to purchase of this pickup. Their hope purchase and payment of this pickup. Their hope to have one in within about 2 weeks.
Is this on buy board or anything? It's McLean. I mean, I know that the statutory limit's 100,000, but I think our purchasing policy still says 50. If it's over 50, you're supposed to do formal. Not just two bids, but like a formal, and that's just, we haven't adjusted our purchasing policy to match statutory.
I don't know, and I assume not. So if that's the case, then I will have to go back to.
You have to publish a bid.
Yeah.
I mean, unless this is it an emergency?
Not an emergency, but it's a hindrance.
It's borderline.
Let me go to work on that. See what.
Is Red McCombs not a
I don't know.
buy board dealer either by chance?
Either that or we can change our purchasing policy on that aspect of it at the next available meeting.
Marcy?
So the purchasing policy references the 5,000, but it also references the statute. You know, I don't know, I don't have it with me exactly how it's worded. So I don't know
If it changes.
if that helps.
Yeah,
Or
I mean,
not.
I mean, currently our purchasing policy is more restrictive than statute.
Because it specifies some numbers, I believe, versus just referring to the statute. If it referred just to the statute, then it would work under 100,000, but since that 50,000 was specifically in there.
It references both.
Okay, so we'll go with that for today. And
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking about, while I was looking at this, that, and then you have two bids for the 350 and a 450, so the preference is the 450, it's what it sounds like.
But the
Okay.
second bid is 450 also.
Right, yeah, I saw that.
We've got two qualifying, it just wasn't sealed. Would that be or published?
No, what?
That is not how that works.
No, I'm not, but.
Yeah, no, I mean, we would need to publish do a formal bidding process per our policy if we were going to comply with the
Our policy,
policy.
it has to be.
Or update our policy.
Yeah,
And then bring it back.
which I think we had talked about updating it anyway.
Since the state changed theirs.
Mhm.
Okay. Okay, no action. Yes, sir, that's fine. Add that to the list.
I have, yes.
Expedite. 13.
All right, I know. All right, item number 13, there'll be no action on that item today. Item 14, consider approval of payment of invoice for hail damage for a precinct 1 truck.
Then you're up.
Lynn, I'm not sure she's still here.
She's back there. We have the Chevrolet out at Escamilla Body Shop. The TAC sent and correct me if I'm wrong, Lynn, when I'm going here, TAC sent a adjuster up, and they came up with the damages of $23,182.63. The deductible is $1,000, so we have received the check for $22,182.63. It will probably be less than that, but I'd like to approve the repair and the payment of the repair on that Chevrolet pickup in the amount of up to $22,182.63. Correct, yes, sir. Which plus $1,000, that was what we netted, plus $1,000 deductible. The repair is actually total repair, I guess, is $23,182.63.
What do you
The request, I guess, since we have to do the whole thing, is combined, $23,182.63. Thank you, Lynn, for correcting me there.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
I'll second.
Do I need to rephrase it?
Lindsay? County clerk has approved that,
Thank you.
and I think we're all clear on the motion. All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. Item number 16, consider approval of partial payment for the county airport security camera project. This project was previously approved at our last meeting. The vendor is asking for a partial, I guess, payment up front, 50%. And that's why this is back to consider approving that prepayment. That's not, our policy generally is not to do that unless it's specifically approved. It's in the amount of $21,522.18, which is a 50% deposit on the project total. It's Too Bright Watch is the company.
From what I understand, a contract was signed, and that was in the fine print.
And I think I talked to Tony, I think he tried to get them to do an alternative arrangement, and this is how they do their business, so.
I do think they have done some work, and we have the camera.
I was looking through the agenda or from the last packet. Do they have it broken down, labor versus materials by chance? That
I don't remember.
I'm looking through it, I'm not finding it yet, but. Could we make a deal with them to, upon delivery of equipment, we'll hand over a check, the half?
I don't know, I don't have any details on the negotiation other than what Tony told me.
Looking through the last packet.
Well, if we signed a contract and they're wanting to go forward, I would say we get it done.
Yeah, and if they purchase stuff for us already too.
All right, anybody want to make a motion on this?
So is it half of the 21, or is that is
The 21 is the,
I move we approve the partial payment for the county airport security camera installation project in the amount of $21,522.18.
second. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. What do we have left? Just consent?
Yes.
Let's go back to item number 2, the consent agenda. That's routine business items. The Commissioners Court will approve in a single motion unless a member of the court wants to pull in one of those items for individual discussion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, Commissioners, I think we've addressed every item on the agenda. Anything else? If not, motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
And we are adjourned at 12:15 PM.